Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Letter, where we are inspecting the mansion, and Hannah is giving us her life story, I guess.
I hope we charge by the hour or the minute.
That would be smart.
Because we just made a shit ton of money listening to her stories.
Yeah. So, what else has she got to say?
Continue. We're just bringing in the dough.
Yeah.
I still have most of this floor, and I'll want a quick run-through of the ground.
I shan't keep you from your work any longer then. Just call me if you need anything. I'd like to look around myself.
You're trying to prevent us from our cold hard cash.
Yeah, oops. When she turns to leave, she glances back at me before disappearing into the foyer. I look out the window from where she was standing, and I move on, alone with nothing but my thoughts and her.
Finally, some peace and quiet. Thought the old biddy would never leave.
It's utter madness that's hearing things. I think it's weird she's like hearing things, whereas I don't think anyone else... at least like we didn't get to hear.
The weird, crazy, screwed up girl with Zach.
Oh yeah. I reckon it's a stress, though I don't know what exactly I'm stressed about. If meeting Mrs. Wright was really throwing me for a loop, I'd be worried. If I'm developing some sort of psychosis or disorder, well, I'd call a doctor. But hopefully it isn't that, not right here and not right now. I mean, it could just be that personal talking cricket, the conscience, so to speak, and I'm only noticing now. Though if it is, it isn't very helpful.
Can you not say the word Jiminy Cricket? You get sued by Disney?
Probably. Have you seen them? Pushing the dilemma of voices in my head aside, I go back to work. But I can barely make it a few steps before everything tilts and shifts.
Here we go.
I don't really stumble, but it feels like I'm being thrown off my feet and the rest of the world just follows. Though my feet stay firmly on the ground, and even if I stay mostly upright, I feel like I've been heaved and put off balance. I have to close my eyes in the hopes of willing the sudden sense of vertigo away, but when I open them...
Whoa.
Well, I didn't expect that. Well, I don't feel any less sick because of the sight that greets me. Blood drip from the walls and the ceiling, pooling downwards and seeping into the curtains and the carpet. A wave of nausea stronger than the last hits me along with the overpowering stench of blood and gore. I want to bolt. The rational part of my head is still telling me to flee. And I would have gladly done as it asked if only I didn't hear her.
In here, Marianne.
Oh, no.
I have
Don't do
something
it.
to show you.
Don't do it.
I could have ignored it.
Trap.
I would have ignored it if I only heard it in my head. But I swear that this time it's coming from one of the rooms.
Don't open the door at the end of the hallway.
Oh no, I think we killed ourselves. Much further into the study, and I feel compelled to pay attention. I can't just turn around and leave. Yes, you can.
Do it.
Not when it's her. I don't even think as I follow the sound of her voice. The idiot.
Because I bet you anyway, it sounds like the girl that she's talking about.
Oh, I think so. ... Lorraine. Thick as thieves.
Okay.
Lovely Amanda Lorraine Lasserfiana? Sure. She was my friend, the only one I had at St. Samthon's. I was a scholar at the charity case in a school for privileged and prestigious young girls. They all looked down at me if they cared to look at me or acknowledge my presence at all. I'll accept her.
Oh, stop your crying. You know better than to listen to Maeve.
I would not have pronounced that way.
Why I ought to teach that butterface a lesson.
Wait, no, lass! I don't want you getting into trouble with the sisters again!
Relax. It's not like I'm going to stomp her and her lackey's arses flat like last time.
Come on, let's just go back to our dorm room. I don't want to be on my Tobler while you go get yourself punished.
You'll be fine. Gip's there with you.
I feel like I have to get out my Irish dictionary to figure out what some of this stuff is.
Lorraine was there when I needed her, though through my highs and lows. Having her as a friend made being in a strange school away from my father all the more tolerable. She saw this poor helpless girl who was kept down and shunned by everyone else, and being the kind soul that she was, she rescued me. So brave, so beautiful. She was something else.
I'll eat all the chocolates stashed away in your closet if you go.
I can get more. Just don't go complaining to me if you get a tummy ache because of that.
Well, you don't want to get detention on a weekend, do you? It's a Friday. We can go to town and have some karaoke. And we can have a go at druids and demons again.
What?
D&D.
You're not going to miss that just because of Maeve, are you?
Sometimes I question what I did to deserve a friend like her. In the darkest corners of my mind, where treacherous thoughts lurked, I thought she only felt sorry for me. Maybe she was just being a good Samaritan, offering a helping hand. And perhaps I had been too selfish to return the favor.
You have a point. I'll just kick her arse on Monday then.
That's not what I mean.
I know what you mean, Em.
Wait, where are you going? You just told me you wouldn't cause trouble.
I still have something to do. Don't worry. It's not like I'm going to burn down her dorm room or something criminal like that. I'm just going to talk to her. Maybe I'll make it so that her room smells like a dog's air biscuit. That'll make it an excellent weekend. I'll see you in a bit, Marianne. Lots of tumblers.
Because when she told me that she loved me, I couldn't admit that I felt the same way. Not to her, not even to myself. He was wrong. I was taught that way. Husband and wife, one man, one woman, unclean, impure. I prayed for her and for her sins and for salvation. I wanted to apologize for disregarding her feelings so callously. It must have been like a slap to the face for her. But life had gotten in the way. Exams, which were trivial in hindsight now, took top priority, and I had to keep my grades up to keep my scholarship for my father. I told myself I would apologize to her when those were over, that I needed to focus first and not let anything distract me. It had been easy when she avoided me like the plague. She was upset, I get that. Tut.
Now there's a dead chick.
I thought I had time to make things right, but...
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th year dead. Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
They told us that it was an accident. That was the official statement, but I knew better. She was dead because of me.
May have had a hook and I kicked the bucket, didn't she?
Remember me
Ding
achievement?
dong, the witch is dead!
She had, though she didn't say which, Lorraine.
Or at least Maeve had the courage to admit how she felt about me.
I don't even know how long I've been stuck here in a trance. In the mirror, Lorraine smiles at me. She's as beautiful as I remember her, but then... I feel bile rise up in my throat as her clean image warps into how she looks when they found her dead, lying on the ground, cold hard ground. Good Saint Dimphna, great wonder worker, and every affliction of mind and body help me. I'm seeing things, hearing things. Am I going completely insane? Probably. Looking everywhere but at her, I hope and pray that it's enough to will whatever this is to go away. It doesn't even immediately register in my head that I can just leave.
You, on the other hand, can't even look me in the eye.
This isn't real. You're not. You're dead.
I'm dead. Because of you. And you won't even look at me. Look at me.
My breath quickens and I can feel my heart being torn apart by her
I'm
words.
so sorry, Lorraine.
Look at me.
I can't take it because she's right, it was my fault. The least I can do is look at what I've done. Lorraine, broken and bleeding, looks at me with such hate-filled eyes. An unnatural smile stretches across her face and I can only see malice in it. Jeez. Then she lunges as the mirror ripples around her form, the glass parting like the water's surface for her. She grips my shoulders and I can feel her nails dig deep, sharp, even through the fabric of my clothes.
There you are. You're coming with me.
Well, we're dead.
Necrotic paralysis.
You have to.
That wasn't even fair because by the time I figured out what I needed to do,
I know.
I could like reach over to the keyboard.
Why don't you love me?
Well, at least we know now that those don't really matter, I
nope.
guess. Apologies spill through my lips as tears cloud my vision.
Let's try to do a perfect run.
Oh, I wonder if you need to.
Well, we just now got the shitty ending.
Yeah.
Way to be.
Ah, wait.
Whatever.
That messed something up? It changed the relationship thing.
I don't see anything.
I didn't either. But I won't give in to this madness. With every bit of strength I have left, I struggle to get away from her. Fear grips and threatens to choke me. I endure and I escape. Without turning back, I stumble back out. In my panic, I don't even care to look where I'm going. With one hand on the wall to steady me, I just hobble as fast as I can away from the study, away from that mirror. Freedom is bittersweet. I'm free from the madness, it seems, as running out into the hallway reveals it to be in pristine condition, but it means I've turned my back on Lorraine, again. I have no plans of stopping, not until I know I'm safe. And if that means walking back to Luxbourne, as ridiculous as the idea is, then so be it. Someone suddenly grabs hold of me, however. Fingers digging deep into my shoulder and my heart nearly stops. My body seizes and I nearly scream.
Marianne, you look awful. I mean, not awful, but did something happen? Are you all right?
This is right.
Whoa.
Without thinking, I sought comfort, seeing that it wasn't her. It was a sudden, impulsive thing to do, and had I been in a better condition, I wouldn't have dare of doing such a thing. But I didn't know what else to do. Though I know I shouldn't, her warmth, her scent, they grounded me. She is intoxicating.
Marianne, what's going on? Oh, you're shaking like a leaf.
Tremors went through my body as soon as my mind realized I'm no longer in danger. I wanted to cry, scream about what I have seen, but like a scared child, I couldn't control myself. My mind couldn't reconcile what I had just seen. I should just write it off as a figment of my imagination, yet I can still feel her nails cutting into my skin.
Are you sick? Should I call for a doctor?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wright. Just feeling a little woozy and lightheaded is all.
Let's get you somewhere to sit down then. Come on, don't worry. I have you.
A lie. But a whole lot less complicated than telling her I was attacked by a dead girl. When the feeling of fear eases off, I feel nothing but shame for my actions. I quickly back away as I clear my throat and nod my thanks.
I think I've had enough looking around. If it's all right with you and Mr. Wright, I'll meet you outside.
If you're sure, I'll have the car started. Do you need assistance heading downstairs?
I'm all right, ma'am. Just go on ahead and I'll be right there.
It seems to placate her worries, though only for a brief second. Before she heads down, I don't miss the concerned glance she shoots my way, hidden quickly under another smile. I won't begrudge her for it. That worry. The look on my face must have been a strange enough sight on its own. Even I am still reeling from it, from whatever that was. Her voice still whispers in my ears. After all these years, she's still... No, Marianne. Shaking my head at the thoughts, I drag in a breath and follow shortly after Miss Wright.
So that was weird that the ghost took on like a different form?
Yeah. Whatever has happened in the past, it's long gone. Only memories now. And those are things I can no longer bring back. It's already dark as we make our way out of the mansion. With no lights, we are only illuminated by the headlamps of the Wright's car and the stars up above us. The sight of them helps me compose myself much more than several minutes of being alone did. The car's engine is running, yet the two still stand out on the lawn. Mrs. Wright is busy, eyes up to the stars. And Mr. Wright, arms crossed, has his eyes down on the ground. It is the crunch of grass under my heels that brings their attention to me.
About time. What took you so long? A minute longer and I'd think the house swallowed you all up.
You know.
Oh, hush, dear. I'm sure she has her reasons. Marianne doesn't seem the sort to idle.
Sorry, I was just checking on something important.
See, business is business and they take time, love. You should know that better than anyone. So, Marianne, what do you think? Are you the woman for the job? I know we already signed papers hiring you, but I want to be 100% sure that you are committed.
I glanced back towards the mansion, knowing what I had seen there, or rather who I thought I saw there, because there's just no way. Not to mention how I acted towards Mrs. Wright, for goodness sake. I should feel the slightest bit of hesitation. I was lucky. I've seen enough films to know what happens when a promiscuous woman enters a haunted house. This is my chance to turn it down, make excuses, say that I'm not up to the task, that I need to take care of my old sick father. Just pay the fine.
In the oven.
Right.
I'm not just making excuses.
Fine, I'll go. Just pay the fine, which is probably outrageous for a contract like this, and let it go. I should turn it down, but for some obstinate reason I can't. In the same manner, I haven't let go of her, of the regret that has shadowed me since that day. Much as I hate to admit it even to myself, seeing her again, the mischievous glint in her eye, the loose tendrils of her hair curled around her forehead, it's something I've terribly missed, and now that it's here, almost within arm's reach, my father would tell me, sometimes you just simply have to go through with it, consequences be damned. And well, I really don't have any logical reason to say no. At least not something a client like the Wrights would want to hear from a professional designer.
I like that I'm having this internal monologue that's got to be going on for like 5 minutes, and they're just like, blink, blink.
It's certainly an interesting project. You can be sure I'm seeing it through the end.
Such dedication! Oh, I do love the determination.
You were always determined like that, weren't you?
Hearing her voice once again sends a chill running down my back. I can't wait for this day to be over. From the mansion and through Anselm, I rode with them in silence, but as soon as we hit city proper, I asked to be dropped off and bid them goodnight. I thought it best if I didn't stay too long in confined spaces with either Mrs. or Mr. Wright. Both seemed to cause me serious trouble, and if the project had been any less interesting or grand, I would have dropped it without a second thought. Would have, should have, won't. I assure them that my place isn't that far off, and I have to fight off the urge to roll my eyes and groan when whiskey throws me a little smirk. But even in my own home, peace is elusive, as is sleep. I lie awake thinking of what I saw in that mansion, of who I saw. If I so much as hear a single whisper from her, if I so much as see a wisp of her hair, I'm afraid I'll go mad, but none of that happens, and it makes me feel hollow. ... For 2 nights I've had trouble sleeping, but it's only one morning when fatigue has already let me rest that I'm reminded of what terrifies me so. In my restless dreams, I see that mirror, the one in the study, and in it I see her. I see them.
Them?
Lorraine and Hannah. Huh? Hannah and Lorraine.
Poor pathetic Marianne. Work, work, work. She'll work herself to death.
See, she doesn't listen. That's all she did. Look at what happened to me.
They talk among themselves with cruel smiles and venomous tongues. Or rather, to themselves. 2 heads, 1 body. A horrible mockery of these women, as if they were the one and the same.
More's the pity. Life goes on and goes out, and she doesn't even see it.
Do you think she'll even realize when she's kicked the bucket herself?
When they say a person has a hard time telling when they're in a dream, it was true enough, often enough. Even with this bizarre sight, even with the obvious implication that this isn't real, I can't help but feel distress.
Likely. Is that any way to live at all? She might as well be dead.
Cruel fate that she's alive and I'm... well...
Though they speak into each other's ears, tones low and hushed, I can still hear them as clear as day. Their whispers pervade the air, heavy and oppressive. They bury and dig into my head like tiny maggots worming their way into my skull. It is only then that they take notice of my presence. Eyes turned towards me, I can only feel small under their scrutiny. Character smiles etched on their faces, mimicking each other grotesquely.
Oh, Marianne! How long have you been standing there, dearie?
Come join us, Marianne. We won't bite.
No.
It did not go well for us last time.
Unless you ask, that is.
Have you been looking at us? Spying? How scandalous. Such a naughty girl.
I'm sure you were just waiting for something lewd to happen, weren't you?
You know
Well-
she will not admit it. She thinks it wrong. You've said it so yourself.
I'm mostly disturbed by the fact that you guys have a lot of blood around you and that you're like one body with 2 heads.
Yes.
Yes. She thought me wrong, impure, abnormal, because I loved her.
My breath hitches and I open my mouth to protest, but they stop me, screeching. The mirror that holds them cracks, lines spidering across its surface.
Do not lie. We know the gluttonous thoughts you try to deny, girl. All those desires you bury beneath that sickening guilt. You act the martyr when you turn the bed you lie in into your own hedonistic hell.
Wow.
You are nothing but a tainted soul with filth-stained flesh held together by falsehood and pride.
That's pretty imaginative there.
Yeah. They look livid. And when it looks like they would lunge, I wake, feeling like the wind had been knocked out of me. With a groan, I squint and find a certain fluff ball sitting on my chest, looking as pleased as Punch. She is the overlady of cats, queen of despair and destruction of nice furniture. Though I can't stay mad at Her Majesty because it feels like she did something good this time. I was having a nightmare, but I can't even remember what it was about.
Oh, we remember.
Trying to recall leaves a terrible pit in my stomach. Maybe it's probably better that I don't remember.
Good morning, Baruthio. Who's a good kitty? Are you hungry? Is that why you woke me up?
A content purr comes from my sweet dear before she jumps off the bed and trots towards the kitchen. On the other hand, it takes me a bit before I roll out of bed and start my day. Mornings before work is always a quiet affair. Shower first, then a mug of coffee and a bowl of oats. Add a piece of toast. Sometimes I do...
Wake up, had a piece of toast.
Yeah.
Talked about my day.
Sometimes I do stretches and I always check my work email. The Wrights will be moving into the mansion today. I don't think the paperwork is officially done yet, but it isn't too far-fetched to think they were allowed to start their move despite that. Rich people like them will always find ways to get what they want after all.
I'll be leaving you again today, Beth. So you behave and make sure not to shred up my new covers, okay? And don't worry, I didn't forget tomorrow is Black Cat Day, so I'll throw you a party.
Okay.
But only if you behave like a proper lady.
She barely gives me a glance as I say that before going back to her own food. Cats. Still better than humans, most of the time. Too bad I have to work with humans, most of the time. Place is already busy as soon as I get here. The foreman, one that I've recommended to the Wrights for his work ethic, is as early as usual. Already he's instructing men here and there with the bigger loads. Oh no. She recommended them and they broke everything. I have no chance to talk with him as Mrs. Wright appears and greets me with a smile.
Mrs. Wright, I hope everything has been to your liking thus far.
Good morning, Marianne. It has been delightful, and these men have been very helpful. Look at all this. It's so busy here. I'm getting tired just looking at them go.
No complications so far with the movers or the previous owners of the mansion, I hope?
If anything, the only one being problematic is Luke, if I'm to be honest. He can be such a diva, but I do like that about him.
She stops, looking up at the upper landing where Mr. Wright comes through with 2 more movers and the mirror from the study.
Oh, do be careful with that mirror. We wouldn't want anyone getting hurt because of broken glass. Why are you even having it carried around?
Oh? You did say you didn't want the mirror, and I keep getting distracted by it.
What?
If I'm going to turn the study into my office, I'd rather not have it there. Where can we
Why?
put this?
Well, you are not putting it
You're
in our
either
room.
getting distracted looking at yourself,
That's where I think he was going with that.
or you don't want the mirror there because you don't want to see the reflection of you doing nasty things in your office. Just saying.
Why don't you go, I don't know, put it in the wine cellar for now? We can figure out if we'll store it in the attic or somewhere else later, yes?
You heard her, boys. To the cellar it goes. Mush!
The movers bring down the mirror one step at a time, no matter how much the man tells them to hurry. An unsettling feeling grows in my stomach as I see our reflection in the bloody thing. And I look away, not wishing to risk anything. If I see Lorraine's image in the mirror now, I wouldn't know what to do. I don't have the luxury of privacy right now, and I'm not going to break down in front of all these people. Mrs. Wright only shakes her head and laughs at her husband's antics as they take the mirror out of here. He's backing at it again soon enough, pointing the men here and there. I'd say he's the man with the plan, but it sort of interferes with the layout and design that we've agreed upon before. I'm about to point it out, but...
It's better you let him realize his mistakes on his own, rather than tell him of them. That way you do not get blamed for his actions. It is more fun, too, to tell him, how does they say it? I told you so. Once he slips
I
up.
like this guy.
Yeah.
He may be my favorite character in this damn game, and I'm so sad we don't get to play him.
Yeah. I said out of every character that we don't get to play as or like get to have interactions with, he's definitely my favorite, easily.
Been working with him long enough to know that, huh?
It's not like I plan to make too much of a fuss unless what he changes is actually
It
crucial.
happens often enough, when one is made to accompany him nearly all hours of the day.
How do you see your husband?
Come on now.
Still, he could at least be less pushy about things.
Conspiracy theory. Luke's his husband.
That would explain a
Careful
lot.
now. I know your pictures are framed by cheap plastic, but those are framed by African blackwood and are one-of-a-kind commissioned paintings.
That's the only reason I could
This
see.
moving with an iron fist.
Right. It's the only reason I could see Johan dealing with him.
Each one is easily worth a lifetime of what you lot make.
It's surprising how hands-on he is compared to my usual clientele. Well, the both of them are, actually. It's refreshing to have them participate despite their initial reluctance.
Luke, do the dishwashers go into the kitchen or the butler's pantry?
Pantry, Buttercup. Careful, that's Emma. No, you there, put that down. You do not manhandle a Napoleon Abueva.
He really needs to tone down the dramatics a notch. Mrs. Wright and the butler look like they're used to it by now. But the rest of us, well...
Sweetie, why don't we go and sort your suits upstairs? Let your Hans and Marianne and the foreman deal with the rest of the work.
We have this, Mrs. Wright.
Yes, please do go before a blood vessel bursts. Bloodstains are so troublesome to clean.
There's an obvious sense of relief as Mr. Wright is dragged out of the room, leaving the movers to do their work in peace. Some grumbling even comes from some of the younger workers. It's a good thing the family butler isn't some blindly loyal tool to his boss, or there will be trouble with Mr. Wright.
He is such a Bratwurst. Whiny baby who never got enough hugs from his mutter.
That is fantastic. He just literally called him a bratwurst.
And
Best insult ever.
there's the name for this episode.
Probably lost in translation, and not that I'm condoning talking about someone else behind their back, but I think you meant to call Mr. Wright a horrible brat.
No.
Nope. Bratwurst.
Well, he is that too. There are a lot of things I can call him, but I mean to say that he is a big weenie. A childish name for a childish person. Like a child, he whines when he doesn't get what he wants, and he breaks the toys that he has.
That gets a laugh from me, as well as a few of the movers who linger near. He and I carry boxes, instructing the movers where they should be, and generally taking over Mr. Wright's work.
Bratwurst.
It goes off without a hitch, and the man is helpful, efficient, and capable with physical labor, despite his clean-cut appearance.
Every time we see his name, we should just call him Bratwurst now.
Whiskey, Bratwurst,
Now, whiskey's nice, like
Malfoy,
Lucius.
a gentleman to boot, taking boxes from me when he sees me struggling with them. Speaking of boxes,
One of the boxes for the kitchen is missing. Has anyone seen it? The one with the pots and the knives.
The Bratwurst had it brought upstairs, thinking it was for the attic.
Why would he... Oh, never mind. I'll go get it.
Don't go.
oh no!
No! Don't go in the attic.
Why even bring a box of pots and knives to the attic? That man is ridiculous. There's probably no point in making sense of what he does if he does them just because he can. At least it turns out that I don't have to make it all the way up to the attic. The mover, probably on Mr. Wright's order, left the box on the
At
stairs.
least it's not that heavy.
I managed to hoist it up without too much effort, but the time it takes me to do that is long enough for me to overhear an odd conversation I could never in my life imagine coming from a couple like the Wrights.
If you're not careful, I might go a bit loosey and he'll start bringing cats home.
Oh, the cats thing.
One day you'll find yourself going home to a farm just filled with felines that follow you everywhere.
Oh, don't bluff.
Well, if he smells like bratwurst, they might follow him everywhere.
That's true.
Besides, you don't even like cats.
True. Dogs are infinitely superior, of course.
But what about the wet dog smell? The mess. I'm not cleaning up after a mutt, no matter how cute. If you think about it, a cat would be better.
For once, I'll have to agree with Whiskey on this one, though I can live with Mrs. Wright being a dog person. But as amusing as this conversation might get, I really shouldn't be caught eavesdropping or slacking off on the job. At most, I should be looking at ways of possibly soundproofing certain rooms, perhaps bringing it up if they don't realize the lack of it.
I don't know.
So, from a game perspective, I feel like we don't get anything out of it if we keep listening because we've already had this conversation
Right,
as
we know
Hana.
how it goes. Move on.
Yeah, we'll move on. We'll just have to do that in the next episode.
Ooh, we're gonna move on in the move on of the next episode.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll change our mind by then.
Nah.
Probably not. But we might. It'll just, have to wait.
If clicking keep listening allows us to call him a bratwurst, I'm all for it.
Keep listening to the Bratwurst. Got it. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.